Welcome to the Rebecca Adehill Podcast. I want to start off by saying that I want my name to remind you to go and live your life big, to take risks, to go all in and write one hell of a story with the one life you know that you have. I'm a 7-figure business mentor, wife, and mother of 3, and I'm here to share my journey with you as I am constantly moving in the direction of more bigness, more impact, more wealth, more depth, and more life. My aim with this podcast is to activate and inspire you to go and live your life big in the fullest, most passionate way. I'm so glad that you are here. So let's dive. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Rebecca Adehill Podcast. I hope that you are having the most magical start to your week. This week marks a really special week for me. This week, it was exactly 13 years ago since I packed up, went to the airport, and left Sweden to come to Australia. It was a trip that was meant to be just 7 months. I had a return ticket, and here I am 13 years later. And always this time of year, I just take some time and really reflect on how far I've come. I reflect on all of the things that I have, and what an incredible journey it has been since I landed in beautiful Sydney 13 years ago with $3,000 in the bank, broken English, no friends, didn't really know where I'd end up, and here I am. And it's such a beautiful time just to reflect on how far I've come. Today, I want to have a conversation with you, and I'm going to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was comfortable to share this conversation, but I know that this conversation is going to help so many of you, and it's not an easy one for me to have because it's new and it's quite raw. It's very much in the front of my mind right now, and I feel like I really want to share this with you and maybe help someone who may be on a very similar path right now. So the conversation I want to have with you today is around allowing for other people to support you inside of your business. I have a few people on my team at the moment, but my recent hire was for an executive assistant, a full-time position to work alongside of me starting Monday, just gone. And I was overwhelmed by the amount of applications that came through for this position, how many people were looking for full-time work, how many people that were so excited by the opportunity of potentially working alongside of me. And I started the interview process, and I was really clear on who I wanted this person to be. And I hired someone who I thought was going to be a wonderful fit, and we started last Monday. And the first thing I want to share with you today was the feelings that came up for me when I realized that I was letting go of more work and more of the responsibilities that I currently have inside of my business. It's the feeling of letting someone else be in control. And I have been reflecting hard on this over the weekend and all last week, and I even shared it inside of one of my group calls last week, and it really resonated with a lot of women on that call as well. And when you are a person that is used to being the one that looks after everyone around you, you are the person that holds everybody around you, you are creating financial abundance for you and your family, you are just used to being the person that holds everything together. And I believe a lot of this stems from our childhood and how this now shows up in our adult lives. And especially for me, I so deeply resonate with this. And when I think of control, or when the perfectionist in me, she comes out a fair bit, the controller comes out a fair bit, and the perfectionist in me comes out a fair bit. When those versions of me are really loud, when those versions of me make it really clear they want to stay in control, and when they want to perfect everything, I know that stems from my childhood or my early teenage years of feeling like I want to be in control, because control for me felt really safe. And every time I let go of control, I felt this lack of safety or lack of certainty in my life. And when it shows up so strongly for me, and I think it's really important, again, I make sure that in these moments, I lead myself with great understanding and compassion and love towards like every version of me. But when it gets really loud, when I can feel the controller and when I can feel like myself getting anxious in the process of letting go of control, I know that there is something I have to look at. I need to go and dig a little bit deeper and get my hands dirty and really allow myself to rewrite what letting go of control actually means to me. Because what it used to look like when I was younger, it's certainly not the same like letting go of certain tasks inside of your business, but it's the same feeling in my body, which means it's really difficult for me to delegate and allow other people to step in and take control. And it also shows up in my family and in my relationship and in my marriage. And that's something Brody's really aware of. And, things that we are working through that I know that I need to allow other people to step in and take control. And it's so beautiful to be able to have this conversation with Brody, even because he knows how I feel when I'm not in control and how anxious I can get when I don't feel that. So this week, as I hired my EA, it just became really obvious that I still have some stuff there to work through, which isn't always nice. But I'm very committed to my own growth and knowing all of the things that I want to create, knowing all of the impact I want to make on others. I know that I really need to get my hands dirty here and really allow myself to work through this so that I can set myself free. Because especially if I'm going to speak on this topic, and especially if I'm going to continue to delegate and grow my company, this version of me that feels like I need to be in control in order to feel safe, that version of me is not going to get me where I want to be. So I know that I need to work on this. So I want to bring up this conversation as it's very raw for me, as it's very much like now in the moment I am navigating and working through this. So it became really clear when I'm letting go of control, because I have this, when I get this feeling of I know exactly what's happening, I can see the full plan, I know the execution of the plan, the standard is really high, everything is in order, I'm like, whew, I can relax. If it's not that way, I can feel my heart rate go up, I can feel myself micromanaging, and my mood shifts, it goes up and down, and it's just not a nice feeling. And I don't know if any one of you is resonating with this, if you felt that. And I think it's very common amongst female entrepreneurs that they have children, they run a household, they have big aspirations and goals, and there are a lot of things they want to do. And as soon as they let go of control, they feel like everything is going to go to shit. And I'm like, well, it's actually not. It's just the feeling. So we need to rewrite what it looks like to let go of control. So I was really excited about this hire, and I was very transparent with the person that I hired that, this is a big fear of mine and it's going to take time. But with the right process, we are going to be able to navigate this so beautifully. So we are both feeling really comfortable in the process of me letting go and allowing for someone else to step in. And essentially the reason why I am outsourcing more things in my business is because I only want to focus on the tasks that I can only do. So if there are tasks inside of my business right now that I know that I can hire people for, I'm going to hire people for that, because I don't believe that my time is best spent in all areas of my business, and especially around activities that aren't really moving the needle or that are money making activities. So at the moment, I am doing a stock take on everything that I do inside of my business, everything that my team is currently helping me with, and where I feel like my energy really thrives, and also in areas where I feel like my energy gets a bit flat when I have to deal with certain things inside of my business. And I'm going to use a very simple red light, green light kind of vibe. Is it a green light or is it a red light? And I'm creating this list at the moment, and it's so interesting to go when I sit down here and create this podcast. It can only be done by me because I'm the podcast host and I thrive. So it's a green tick for me. And I got this process from Buy Back Your Time, which is an incredible book written by Dan Martell. And I am completely consumed by his way of thinking, and his whole philosophy is that you don't delegate or hire people in your company to grow your business, you do it to buy back your time. And that is ultimately what I'm working towards right now. Is I know that the byproduct will be that my business will grow because I will spend 95% of my time on activities that are high paying, high value, high quality tasks that also gives me energy. Everything else you can outsource. So that is what I'm going through at the moment. And I want to create more spaciousness in my life. I want to spend even more time with my children. I want to spend even more time with my husband. I want to invest more in my friendships, in my health, in my physical, mental health, like all of the other areas of my life. I know by buying back my time, by delegating to other people, is going to save me a lot of time. So I was really excited, nervous about this beautiful person started with me on Monday. As the week progressed, I noticed that it was a fairly distinct gap between what I initially hired for and the deliverables or the quality of work and the dynamic. And it's really difficult for me to have this conversation because, number one, I was so excited. When you feel in your body there was like all the green ticks, and then you gel with someone on an energetic level and you're really excited and you like this person, and then from a CEO, business owner perspective that it may be a misalignment. And this is the difficult part, is knowing what is going to be the right decision for your company versus what the version of Rebecca that wants to have genuine, beautiful relationships, that just want to be liked and like other people and have a good time. There are two different people. So I feel like I'm having two different people on my shoulder. One says, this is beautiful, this is really nice, you're going to have a really good time. And the other version of me says, Rebecca, you know that this is not right for you and you have made a mistake here. This is not about the quality of the human that you hired because she is wonderful, but what you are after, you have to be honest with yourself. And for as long as you leave this, it will impact your business. It will perhaps build up resentment within you. And here is the important part, when you feel deep down in your soul that you have either made a mistake as a business owner or there has been a misalignment, and you feel that, and you know there is no level of training or near future outcome that you can work towards together, it's a really difficult position to be in because number one, you've spent a week training someone, turned away so many other candidates to then, unfortunately, having to give someone the news that it's not going to be fit moving forward. And that is what I had to deal with over the weekend. And it is really sad. I was really sad over the weekend because I really wanted it to be right. I really wanted it to work out, and I hate letting people down. And I think there's a version of me that feels like I have let this person down because she is wonderful. But I also know that I hired someone full time to fulfill a role that I was really clear on the deliverables. And when that didn't happen, I had to be honest with myself in that moment, which has been a real learning curve for me. But immediately as I did it, as hard as it was for me and no doubt for her, given it had only been 1 week, I knew in my soul and in my gut that I had made the right decision. Did it feel good to do that? No, it didn't. I felt really disappointed because I was so hopeful and I was so excited. But sometimes we don't get it right. And I think this is where leadership and integrity really comes into play, that I have to have those really difficult conversations and ask myself, am I willing to let this continue to please someone else, or am I allowed to let someone go to put the future of my business first? And it's a hard conversation. And I think it's a really important one because, and I'm grateful that I've had this learning experience, because there is a lot of thoughts running through my mind in terms of, did I make the right decision? Oh, yes, it's the right decision. And then you go back and you backtrack and you question, and then you go, yeah, oh, I know that's right. And then you try and find a reason why maybe it can work out, maybe I can fulfill. And I'm like, oh, now I'm not showing up as the CEO of my company. And when you can really zoom out from the emotional connection that you build with someone else, or an outcome you had hoped for that didn't work out, because I was excited. I was so excited about this and thought it was the perfect person. That disappointment, it was a really hard one for me to swallow because I really, really, really wanted it to be right. But the honesty and my integrity in the future of my business, I knew I had to make this call. And instead of letting it drag on for weeks and months, I led myself to it as soon as I could, because sometimes you just know. And things can be done with great love, compassion, and integrity for people around you. And the people that may get affected by you making a decision like that, or the feeling of letting someone down, it's tough. It's really, really tough. And I think this comes down to our delivery, our communication, and truly having honest, uncomfortable conversations. And that does not mean it is a reflection of this person's character. And this was the hard part, especially when you gel with someone on an energetic level, that you know from a delivery and from a standard perspective, you knew it wasn't up to scratch. So I am back to the drawing board of finding someone else, going through the whole process of finding someone more suitable. Have I learned some lessons along the way? Yes, absolutely. And I think the biggest lesson I have learned is the way I interview people from now on, that it has to be a beyond a qualification process, that it almost has to be, they need to show me a level of work, that I give them a piece of work for them to work through, so I can see how solution driven they are, so I can see how forward thinking they are, so I can see the quality of their work in their communication and delivery. And it's a lesson learned that sometimes you shouldn't just take someone's word, that sometimes you have to see a level of proof of what they can create and really getting a snapshot of someone's brain. So I think my interview style will change from now on, my qualification process and also showing some form of work prior to the start date is something that I've learned in the process. That is the conversation I want to have with you today. And I'm sharing this from a light of hoping that whenever you are going through a process of hiring someone, number one is to get very clear of what will happen with your time as you hire this person. If you want them to take care of all of the admin tasks in your business, if they want to take over your social media or create content for you, or just to run personal errands for you, whatever that might look like, what I think is important is clarity on the work that is required. And second to this, what will you do with your time when your time is freed up? And I think that is a very important point I want to make, and something that I was very clear of, which is why I am so excited to continue the hunt to find the right person, because I'm very clear where I need to spend my time and focus for the biggest impact in my business, and investing more into my own health and family, and spending my time where it matters to me, and spending my time on tasks that I can only do. And as business owners, we need to, unfortunately, get really used to getting uncomfortable. And sometimes that looks like letting people go, going back to the drawing board, or changing your direction, or having hard conversations, or following through even though you know it's going to be really difficult for you to do that. But I know once we do that, we become better leaders, we become more experienced, we become better coaches, mentors, people, and we learn in the process. And I don't believe it's about getting it right every single time. It's about looking at the process we had, what went right, what went wrong, how can I make it better next time, and really allowing yourself to look at the good and bad and any experience that we have, looking at it from a perspective of, what did I learn and how can I make it better next time, and what will I avoid doing moving forward. I feel like every quote unquote mistake that we make, or every hiccup or roadblock, I feel like there are so many opportunities for us to learn in the process and for us to grow as business owners and as humans and individuals. So that is the episode I wanted to share with you. It's a vulnerable one, it's a very raw one, but I really hope that you can take some of what I've shared and maybe prevent this from happening in your case, or if you have gone through it. I just want to shed some light on this to let you know that I have also just walked through this, and it's uncomfortable and it's not easy, but I feel that coming out on the other side and really honoring my truth has really shown me how committed I am to the evolution of my business and my growth, and be so willing to look at all versions of myself and making those really uncomfortable, hard decisions that unfortunately needs to be done sometimes. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I cannot wait to see you back next week for another episode. I hope you have the most magical start to your week.